Hello, my crafting friends. Do you want to learn to make your own pine wreath for your front door this holiday season that is not only beautiful but also budget friendly? Then come craft with me. I'm Sarah, and welcome to my channel Primrose Lane Prims. If you haven't done so already, I hope you'll consider hitting that subscribe button and crafting with me in the future, and let's get right into these beautiful wreaths. For this first wreath, I'm going to be using this light pre-lit pine wreath that I had. It has a little battery pack here in the back, and it has a couple different light settings. And I'm going to take this wood snowman that I have had. I have bought several of these years ago. I had actually found them brand new at a yard sale, and I think I paid like 50 cents or $1 a piece. And this is the last one of these I had, and I thought this would make a perfect little light up snowman wreath. We're going to make a little primitive light up snowman wreath. So I'm going to attach my snowman right into the center of my wreath here. I apologize. I thought my camera was rolling when I did it, and it was not. But I used the hanger that was on it to wrap up in the branches, and I also used my staple gun to attach a wire to the bottom to wire it to the frame as well. Next, I'm going to take these rusty jingle bells. I borrowed these off a pick of mine that I had, but you could just use regular jingle bells if you wanted, or the rusty ones you can find on Amazon, Factory Direct. But I'm just going to use the wire that came on these and wire these right to my pine branches. And I'm just going to spread these out intermittently all around my little wreath here wherever I think they look good. These light up pine wreaths too, you don't have to buy a light up pine wreath if you don't have one. You could just get a regular plain one and add fairy lights. Dollar Tree has some really cute fairy lights you could add, and it will save money. Also check sales. I know Walmart has some on sale online right now for Black Friday. I'm not sure how long that will last, and even thrift stores. Now I'm going to take some of this scrap homespun fabric that I have. As you can see, this looks like I cut a circle or something out of this, and it was just the scrap in pieces, and I had saved them, and this is the perfect project to use these scrap pieces up on. If you're like me, you save your scraps. But I'm just going to take and I'm just going to rip this little scrap just into just small strips here. Well, I'm going to try at least. This piece is not wanting to rip. Ah, got it. Perseverance. But I'm just going to take and I'm going to rip my pieces, and even this little corner here, it's still going to work. We're going to use these scraps up on this. I'm just going to take my little ripped strips here and I'm going to start tying them onto my wreath around it, and all the different places look good. You could use more than one color here, and the type of fabric, you could even use ribbon if you wanted to instead. That matches your decor and looks good to you. Like I said, I'm using this maroon and cream gingham homespun. I think it's a really pretty one for Christmas too. And I'm just going to tie it all around just to add a little bit of color. Now here's that little end piece. It's kind of a little triangle shape. I'm just going to kind of scrunch it up in the middle and tie it right around there. You would never know it was a little triangle end piece. I'm just going to keep going, and I'm just going to add as many as looks good to you. There's no right, there's no wrong. This is a simple wreath, a really easy wreath, but turns out so primitive and so pretty. Next, I'm going to take these little mini pine cones, and they were brown, but they just really blended in with the bells a little too much, and I wanted to add just a little bit of difference to them. So after I throw my paintbrush down, I'm going to take and throw my pine cone down as well. And then after I'm done throwing things, I'm going to take and I'm just going to lightly drag my paintbrush down the tips of my pine cone just to give it that little snow touched look. It'll separate that a little bit from those bells, make them stand out a little bit and look like they've just had a little bit of snowfall on them. Now, using just some floral wire from Walmart, I'm just going to wrap it around my pine cone, twist it, and then wire it right to my wreath. I like to wire these to ensure that they don't ever come off. You can use hot glue as well if you want to, but if you use the wire, usually the wire takes care of it. And I'm just going to keep wiring these all around my wreath just to fill in any of the places I think one would look good. And now, if you obviously can't find this particular snowman sign like I've used, Amazon has some really cute vintage farmhouse metal ones that are very affordable. Dollar Tree has some cute ones. You could even just take a wood round and paint a snowman face on it, even if you wanted to. And here's a look all lit up what our little primitive snowman wreath turned out. I think he's so cute. For this next wreath, I'm going to be using this large 24-inch wreath form. Now, as you can see, this is one of those ones, they look just a little thin. I'm sure you've seen these and you're like, oh, those are way too thin to ever make a pretty wreath. But let me show you how you can fill these out and make a beautiful farmhouse wreath out of one. I'm going to be using this deco mesh red and black buffalo check. This is a larger one here from Walmart. It's the 10-inch one, but Dollar Tree also has the 6-inch version. So you could use either or, but I'm going to go with the 10-inch just because it's a little bigger. And I'm going to start by just taking my ends, tucking it right down in my branches in a spot, and twisting my pine right around it. I don't have to use pipe cleaners or zip ties or anything else. I'm just going to use the pine wreath itself. So once I have it started, I'm going to take and just make a really small little poof here, about 3 inches, and then use the pine wreath to once again twist it down and secure it. And I'm going to keep doing this right down the center of my wreath all the way around. This is going to help fill this wreath out a little bit to make it not look near as skimpy. So I'm making about 3-inch just little poofs here right in the middle. Tuck it in between the branches, put it in between 2 of the pine leaves, and just twist them like bread ties, and it'll secure it right down. Now if you run out, like this wasn't one that wasn't a full roll I used to start with, just tuck it down, take your next roll, take your end, tuck it under. You want your ends to tuck under. Put it in that exact same piece of pine there that you tied off the last deco mesh with, and twist it right around there and keep right on going. It'll just look like a continuation. You'll never know that there was a break. Now when I get to the end here, I want to measure how much I need to make my little poof, and then I'm going to cut it about 3 inches down from there. I want to give myself a little bit of extra so that I can tuck it under, and then using the first 2 branches that I secured the starting piece with, I'm going to use that to secure that end piece down. Make sure your ends are tucked under so that way you don't see them, and that is what it turns out looking like. Next, I'm going to take this little sign that I have from Dollar Tree that says, "All hearts come home for Christmas." I thought it was really cute, but it's a little lacking. You could use maybe a little sprucing up here. So taking my Waverly chalk paint in white, I'm just going to take a really soft bristle brush here, and I'm just going to start dabbing this chalk paint all along the roof line. I want this to look like snow, maybe a little bit of icicles, letting those bristles of that soft bristle brush, kind of scrunch a little bit just to give it that nice gathered snow, maybe a little bit of icicles, maybe even forming on the roof, all along the roof line there, maybe right along the edge of the chimney. And I'm going to take and also dry brush a little bit around this wreath, the little pine wreath form that's on it. Give it a little bit of like the snow's falling in there too. I have a little bit of an overactive imagination, so I kind of imagine a little house. Maybe it's Christmas Eve and it's nighttime and the snow's falling and the house is all lit up inside with soft Christmas lights, and the snow is just gently falling and the breeze is it's blowing the snow a little bit and it's gathering around the bottom of the house, starting to drift a little bit around the bottom, around the door. And so that's what I did there. I just added a little bit right along the bottom too to kind of complete that picture I have in my mind. Now, while my sign's drying, I want to make a bow for our wreath. And I'm going to make a little bit of a bigger bow here, so I'm going to break out my easy bow maker to make it a little easier to put together. I really like this for when I'm making larger bows. It makes it easier on my hands to hold all the pieces. So for the bottom layer of the bow, I'm going to use this 2.5-inch wired ribbon from Hobby Lobby, and I'm going to make 3 loops on each side at 5 inches. And hey, if you're enjoying this video so far, be sure to give it a like. And if you haven't done so already, I really hope you'll consider hitting that subscribe button so that you can craft with me again in the future. I would absolutely love to have you join me again. For the next layer of this bow, I'm going to use this 1.5-inch black and white buffalo check from Hobby Lobby to make the second layer of this bow. And this one, I'm going to do 3 loops on each side as well, but I'm going to do these at 4-inch loops. So the red and black I did at 5-inch loops, and the black and white I will do at 4-inch. Once you get your bow together, just take a chenille stem and our pipe cleaner or even floral wire. Grip it real tight there in the center. You don't want your bow coming apart on you. And just twist it down. And then we'll use the extra long tails of that chenille stem to attach it to our wreath here in a minute. And of course, don't forget to dovetail your ends. Next, I'm going to take some of this black and white and red and black buffalo check. This is 1.5 inch, and I'm going to cut 4 strips of each color at 12 inches. So 4 12-inch strips of the black and white and 4 12-inch strips of the red and black. Both of these are from Hobby Lobby. Now, once I have them all together, or all cut, I want to just stack them all together here, and I'm going to dovetail the ends of all of them. I do it all at once. It saves little time, and it makes sure all my ribbon pieces are the same length. Just in case I got off a little bit somewhere. So after my house dried here, before I put it on the wreath, I realized I wanted to add just a little more. On the main part of the house here, it has almost like a faux wood look. It's kind of hard to see those little lines. So I decided to take my Waverly Antique Wax and a small brush here. And I went along the edges first. And then I'm just going to go right along here and there, along some of those faux wood lines that are in the sign. And just add a little bit of this antique wax. And I'm using my finger just to kind of smear it down. I just wanted to accentuate some of those wood lines, wood grains that are in it, to give it just a little more realistic wood look. Just to elevate it just a little bit. Now, to attach our wreath to our wreath frame, I'm going to use this little twine hanger that was already on it and cut it in half, and I'll use that to tie around the wreath frame. And then for the bottom, I'm going to add a longer piece of jute twine here. I'm going to hot glue it on, And then using a scrap piece of fabric, I'm going to glue that over the top of the twine in the center to make it a little extra secure to ensure that that twine doesn't pull off or anything at any point. I didn't want to use wire or staple gun here. It's a really thin sign and I didn't want my staples popping through the front. And here I'm just trimming up my little piece of fabric on the back. Completely unnecessary, but it's just me being me because I needed it to be even. So once I have my twine attached, I'll just flatten my pine here a little bit where I'm going to place my sign so it'll lay even. Kind of arrange it down in there and then dig down and find my wire frame, and I'll wrap my twine around it on each side. And then I'll just tie it down nice and secure. Left a piece of the original price tag hanger on it there. But I'll do the same thing for the bottom piece here. Just tie it around nice and secure. And then I'll just arrange my pine branches around it so that it looks nice and pretty. Then I'll take my large bow and using the longer stems here from the Chanel stem that I used to tie together, I'm going to use those to wrap around and secure it to the wreath frame right on the opposite side of where I put my house sign. And once that's secure, then you can start fluffing this bow out and really getting it to take shape and see what it's really going to look like. Just give those loops some good pulls and pull them around until they look good to you. Next, I'm going to take one of the black and white and one of the red and black ribbon strips that I cut. I'm going to place them in an X and just squeeze them together right there in the center. And now here in my pine, right over top of where one of my little deco mesh proofs was, I'm going to place it down in there and use that pine to twist around it. This will help fill this out even more. So make an X, just kind of squish it in the middle and grip it with your fingers. Place it down in that pine and give it a twist over it to secure it. And then fluff your ribbon out a little bit. And look how pretty that looks. It just fills this wreath out and just gives it a nice touch. And I'm putting 2 bundles of these at the top and 2 of these ribbon bundles at the bottom. And you could add more or less, but this is just what I decided to do, what I thought looked good for mine. Next, I'm going to take these little pine cones, and I once again went with my white chalk paint like I did with my last wreath, and I just tipped the pine cones in the white paint to give them a little bit of that snow frosted look. And using hot glue, I'm going to glue right here in the center of my little bundle of ribbon here. And I'm going to put one in the center of each one of these. Now you could use some wire too if you wanted to try to wire. Didn't have a lot of space left on those little pines after I've twisted it a few times there, so I just went with the hot glue on this one. And I'm also going to take 3 of these little pine cones and I'm going to hot glue them right into the center of my bow. And here is what our little farmhouse wreath turned out. I think this turned out so cute. For this last wreath, I am going to be using this little wreath form. This was originally a little wreath from Ollie's. Now, it was originally $9.99, as you can see here, which isn't a terrible price, but I actually found this. It was brand new, and I found it at my thrift store for $1.99, which was an amazing deal. And as you can see here, when it's all fluffed out, it has these pretty like eucalyptus, these pretty holly like type leaves, berries, and 3 large pine cones. So it already had all of these filler already in it, which was really nice. Saves me the time of having to do it myself. And I'm going to take this little tin sign that I have. It says Keep Christ in Christmas, and it has a really vintage, almost Victorian look, which I thought matched the vintage look that this wreath already has. And I thought this is going to be perfect for this. So I'm just going to take and I'm going to snip the metal hanger that is right in half here, and I'm going to use that wire to wrap around and secure it to my wreath form. This wreath really does remind me of one of those mid-century vintage almost type wreaths. It really gives me a nostalgic feel, like something I would have had maybe as a child. Or I guess maybe more something my mother would have had hanging up at Christmas when I was a child. Just brings back fond memories of Christmas. Now, since this has a more traditional wreath, I wanted to add some of these little gold bulbs. And you can see I got this whole bag actually from a yard sale for 50 cents. Guys, I love finding stuff at yard sales and stuff. I can find such great deals. But Dollar Tree also has very similar little gold bulbs, or any color bulbs, I guess, if you wanted to. But I'm using kind of these glittery ones because I thought they kind of really matched this traditional look that this wreath has. And I'm just going to take 3 and using just some wire, I'm going to wire these right onto the stems. And last, I just wanted to add a little bit of these little mini cinnamon sticks that I had. I'm just going to take a few of these small little pieces here, and I'm just going to hot glue them in and around my wreath just to add a little more and to make it smell nice too. Really didn't have to do a lot to this wreath. It already came with so many pretty embellishments on it. So just a couple extra touches and this little wreath is done, and I think it turned out beautiful. And like I said, it just gives me a nice nostalgic vintage feel.
So that's it for today's video. I really hope you enjoyed today's DIYs. If you did, I hope you'll drop down, give this video a like, maybe share it with your friends. And if you haven't done so already, I hope you'll consider hitting that subscribe button so that you can craft with me again in the future. I would love to have you join me again. It's completely free. And if you hit that little notification bell, YouTube will notify you every time I upload a video. That way you don't miss out on any future fun, budget-friendly DIYs for around the home. Also, I'm sure you've noticed, YouTube has a new feature called Hype. It's just a way for you as the viewers to support your favorite creators, your favorite videos. It's completely free. You just hit that hype button and it lets YouTube know that you enjoyed the video and to share it with more people. If you hype my video, it really helps my channel. So if you enjoyed the content, if you enjoyed the DIYs, I hope you'll consider hitting that hype button as well. And until next time, God bless and happy crafting.